So I just did a marketing podcast called Marketing Hot Takes with Rodney, and my hot take, being a Google Premier Partner agency owner, having built 10,000 Google ad campaigns over the years, my hot take was that not everyone should be running Google ads, and it's not a good product for everyone. And the three main reasons are: number one, you don't have a sales process and/or you have a broken sales process. If you don't pick up your phone calls, which is a big problem, you don't have sales scripting in place. Every phone call is like a unique adventure. There's nothing standard about how you answer your calls and how you walk someone through a qualification process. That's not good. And then you don't have any follow-up in place. If you're just putting offers out there with no follow-up, oh, you're doomed. You're leaving so much money on the table. Next biggest thing we see in terms of issues is you don't know your numbers. You don't know what your average and median customer value is. So how much does your average customer spend? How much does your median customer spend? I like to throw median in there as well, because sometimes you have an outlier that spends so much that it throws off the numbers, and it's hard to build campaigns around an average when there's one super outlier that could throw things off. So I like median a little bit better. You don't know your gross profit. So how much can you spend to acquire this business profitably, this new customer profitably? And then last, you don't know your lead to sales conversion ratio. So how many leads does it take to get a sale? Are those leads coming in from friends and family and referrals? Because those should close at 50 to 100% versus an advertising lead, which is likely to close at 10, 20, 30, 40, if you're good, 50%. So knowing those two things is a big deal. You need to know those numbers. You have to know your numbers. It's business. Business is numbers. You have to know that. My dad is laughing somewhere watching this because he drilled that into my head for years. And then last but not least is budget. Google Ads is expensive, and going back to knowing your numbers, if you don't know what you can appropriately spend to acquire new customers, you're dipping your toe in some dicey water. I wouldn't do that. Budget is also a tricky one, because some people come to us and say, hey, I've got $500. I was spending this on direct mail. Let's spend $500 here. Just because you feel like spending something doesn't mean that it's a market appropriate budget. You need to know where the market click costs are, and then have a budget that's appropriate to get enough clicks per day, to get a lead per day at least, so that you're getting a flywheel of clicks and leads coming in so that you can get a return on investment. If your customer value is super low, you're going to need a lot of leads to get a return on ad spend and management. If you're not paying someone to manage it for you, you don't have to bake that in, but you have to have enough clicks per day to produce leads per day to make this process make sense. So a market appropriate budget. Let's give you an example. Let's say the average click cost. So a lot of people come to us and say they want to spend $500 a month. That's 20, 30 bucks a day, depending on how many days a week you're going to advertise. You really need to look at it. What's my click cost in that market? And then multiply that number by 4 or 5. We call this the Google Ads golden ratio. Multiply that number by 4 or 5. That'll give you an appropriate daily budget. And then you times that by, let's say, 5 days a week, and then 4.3, because there's 4.3 weeks per month. If you want to be lazy, just do 4. So let's say it's $100 a day. And let's say $20 click cost, times that by 5, or times it by 5, my brain. 20 times 5, that's $100 a day. 100 times 5, advertise Monday through Friday. That's 500 times 4 weeks. That's your $2,000 a month ad budget right there. That's a market appropriate budget at a very minimum level. If your customer value is super low, you probably need more than that in order to get enough leads, to get enough sales, to get the ball really moving, and for it to make sense, because I'm doing this based on them also having to get a return on management fees as well. So we call that the Google Ads golden ratio. That is an average click cost to number of clicks ratio that we run. That gives us an appropriate budget for someone to go into market with. So those are the three big things. Wow, just went for 4 minutes on this. Way longer than I was expecting. This was supposed to be a quick hot take. My bad. Enjoy it. Have a great day.